welcome to the Album Nerds Podcast with your hosts, Don and Dude.
Glory, glory, Man United. It's the Album Nerds Podcast. I'm Dude. I got Don with me. That was a football chant for the Manchester United. So Don, how you doing, man? You ready for this?
This is going to be a good one for me. Not sure about you or the audience.
We should call this episode the Al Don Nerds Doncast. Wow. Don's going to be happy this time. All right, so this, of course, is the Album Nerds Podcast. We love albums and the album format. We've got a great show for you today. We are continuing our Summer in the Cities series, and last time we spun Manchester, UK, the home of many of Don's most treasured artists. So we'll each be choosing an album from artists from Manchester, and then, of course, Don will be asking us a deep question. So deep. And then we'll have some shout-outs to some other albums and album-related items we're digging. And, of course, we'll spin that wheel of musical discovery to learn where this crazy journey is going to take us and where we'll be summering and in what city on the next one. But this time, it's all about Manchester.
Manchester! That's what I'm talking about!
Our Summer in the Cities road trip crosses the Atlantic and rolls into Manchester, where rain-slick streets, brick mills, and crowded terraces shape the sound as much as guitars and drum machines. This week, we dig into two Manchester-made albums that channel the city's gray skies, sharp wit, and restless youth.
Yeah. Restless. Yes. The young and the restless. So yeah, it was a very difficult week for me. I listened to nothing but Manchester bands. And we've covered so many of the big ones in the past in different categories and reasons. Some of those, the Buzzcocks, Another Music in a Different Kitchen, early punk.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Kind of first pop punk sort of sounds from 1978, but we talked about that one. The Stone Roses, self-titled from 89. That's a landmark album that I actually enjoy. Nope, we did that one. So then, Oasis, I was thinking about Definitely Maybe, but we just recently did What's the Story, Morning Glory. And although I think Definitely Maybe is a little better, a little more rockin' of an album, it's still similar enough to it that I felt uncomfortable.
Yeah.
What about you? Anything? I mean, you know this.
Yeah. Some other things I would have considered. Happy Mondays, they're one of the bigger acts.
I tried that too, but it just didn't do it for me.
Yeah. And then, of course, James, I think they're kind of considered a Manchester band. Laid from 1993 is a pretty good one.
Walking on fire with passion and love. Yeah, I thought about that one too, but I couldn't get into it. And then or now.
And then there's the Verve, who I haven't spent much time with, but maybe the one to do was Urban Hymns from 97.
Yeah, I thought I was looking at that too, but it was like 57 minutes long or 77. I mean, it was 77 minutes long.
I think
maybe.
It was. Yeah, it's like a double album.
And Bittersweet Symphony is nice and everything, but I just wasn't feeling it. So I decided to go with something more classic, even though I'm not as invested as Mr. Don here. So the picks are in. The chimneys will swept, governor. It's time for our choices.
You choose me?
My pick from the city of Manchester comes from Joy Division, their second and final album called Closer, released in July of 1980. Joy Division is from originally from Salford, which I guess must be close to Manchester. I don't know the geography all that well.
You don't?
No, I've never been there. I know there's tours you can take that show you where all these bands,
Well, as a youth, I would have imagined you had a map of Manchester and the houses marked of Morrissey and wherever these guys lived.
So Joy Division features vocalist and lyricist Ian Curtis, guitar and keyboardist Bernard Sumner, bassist Peter Hook, and drummer Stephen Morris. This, unfortunately was released just after Ian Curtis hanged himself.
Jeez.
We'll talk more about that later.
Good Lord.
Yeah. And of course, actually, Joy Division, after that, became New Order and kind of moved in a different direction, but, maintained some of these roots. The album is produced by Martin Hannett, who actually played a huge role in shaping the band's sound at the time. But let's get right into it. Here's the opening cut, Atrocity Exhibition.
God make it quick, watch him fall. This is the way, step inside. This is the way, step inside. This is the way.
Voodoo.
Yeah, kind of has that vibe. The drums.
Yeah, it's the drums.
Kind of like a tribal drum pattern or something.
That guy does not sound British, at least not on this track. I don't hear an accent.
Yeah. That's true. He's very croony, I think.
Yeah, maybe inspired a little by Jim Morrison.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's some Jim Morrison. There's supposedly he was a big Frank Sinatra fan. I think Iggy Pop probably too. Sure. So this one, it marks, I think, a pretty good intro to the album. The idea of saying, this is the way, step inside. I kind of like that idea of you're stepping inside the album. But seems to be about just a spectacle of suffering and repetition.
Circus of pain.
Yeah. So like kind of something that's ritualized and observed. Yeah. A weird track, pretty dark and bleak.
They're all weird.
I think this might be the weirdest of them. Or maybe the least traditional in terms of like song structure.
Okay.
One interesting note about this is that Peter Hook and Bernard Sumner actually switched instruments on this. So the bass is being played by Bernard Sumner. And then the guitar part there, which, it's almost unrecognizable as guitar. Apparently, I had read that Peter Hook hated the effect that Hannett had put on it. But, it's a pretty, signature part of that song. So what'd you think of this opening cut?
It's aggressive.
Yes.
It just feels like I pictured the Grim Reaper and the river Styx and all that, like heading into the circles of hell or something.
Yeah.
Feels less like a song and more like uncomfortable, frightening moment. Mm-hmm. But the tribal percussion, the metallic drum sounds, the echoing guitar, it's kind of claustrophobic, and I think it's a good presentation. It's a good way to open. It's sonically adventurous, but themes of voyeurism, alienation, being a detached observer of life and human misery.
Yeah, I actually, for some reason, I picture almost like a porn theater or something, but you're not going to look at
it's a really sad place. Yeah. Gross. That's another circle of hell. It establishes, I think, the album's recurring ideas, which are like isolation, decay, distance, taking a hard look at yourself. But it sets a dark tone, and that certainly carries throughout the album. Yeah.
Kind of has a goth vibe.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's move on to another cut. Here's one called Colony.
This one made me think of like if Devo was wearing devil horns instead of flower pot hats.
Yeah, I really like this track. It's another one that I think is very aggressive. I just really like that bass line, the dun 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 dun. It's almost like thrash in kind of a weird way.
Yeah, it also has a Jaws kind of vibe,
like an ominous kind of thing.
Yeah, the theme to the Jaws movie.
Yeah, I don't totally get the lyrics of this song, but I think the idea of bodies and minds being under pressure, maybe individuality gets crushed. I'm not sure, but I just like that bass line a lot.
Yeah, that's Peter Hook, right?
Yes.
Good name.
Hooky.
Yeah, I mean, I think, again, it sort of fits the vibe and feel of the album, and sort of tension between your own freedoms and the control that others have over you. And I mean, it's mid-album, right? And it almost gets lost.
Yeah.
So good pick for that reason alone, because it does seem like it kind of gets lost in the sea of torture in this album.
Yeah. Do you remember we did the first album, Unknown Pleasures?
I do, but I don't remember. I should have listened to it again. I don't remember what it sounds like.
Yeah, that one, definitely had more punk rock vibes. Here it's, they're kind of moving on to, to something else.
I would say it's like indie rock.
Yeah.
I mean, this and other songs, all kind of like that band Geese that's out there now.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're in the same sonic palette as this version of these guys. Anyway.
Yeah, I think that's right. All right, well, was there a cut you wanted to highlight?
Well, I kind of have to, don't I? Yeah, so I went with 24 Hours.
There's nothing there at all.
Now, if they had gotten some ging, 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 ging kind of guitar in there, this sounds a little bit like The Cult to me.
Yeah.
I hear Ian Astbury or at least I think The Cult and Ian Astbury may have had some inspiration from this.
I think so.
Definitely some gothic vibes.
Yes.
I guess this one's frequently considered one of the band's greatest songs. Is that true, Don?
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know anything about them really, except for what you've told me. So there's moments of restraint and there's moments of intensity. The bass work is kind of melodic on this one, a little less clongy. Clong, 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 clong. It's dramatic, and Curtis is, I think, exploring like disappointment and lost love. Is the opening line something like, so this is permanence?
Yes.
Yeah. You can hear something was up.
Oh, yeah.
With,
Yeah, especially in hindsight.
like a sense of resignation, like I give up,
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, this one did stand out. And I think maybe it was that the things that came from this, what this was building to, the sounds of The Cult and things like that I enjoy. I think that's probably what stuck out to me on this one.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we've actually talked about maybe 3 of the most aggressive tracks on the album. And I enjoy listening to the song or to this album, really loud. It's just so intense. And, I think I do kind of listen to it in the way that somebody might listen to metal because, it's, particularly that bass is just, so in your face. But like a lot of, Joy Division and The Cure and a lot of post-punk, the bass is often, the melodic instrument. All right, well, let's talk about the final cut, Decades.
Where have they been? Where have they been?
He just sounds very defeated to me.
Yes.
His personality is very different, I think, on this album, from the previous, and it makes me sad.
Yeah, I mean, knowing the outcome, it is a little weird to listen to. I wonder what it would be like not knowing that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think we've experienced that a lot with a lot of the artists that have taken their lives in particular. I mean, I think about Chris Cornell and Soundgarden and all that, and just thinking that dark stuff was, poetic and performative, but not chewing a hole in their soul. And that's what's being expressed here.
Yeah. So this is one of the tracks that utilizes more synthesizers. There's a few on this, and I think it sort of hints at the direction that New Order will go in the future. But again, you still have that bass there that's particularly interesting. I really like it in the verses. It's just like do. I won't do that.
Thank you.
And I think the lyrics might have something to do with, more just living life under constant pressure and disappointment.
Yeah, I mean, youth and trauma and memory, the passage of time, I think is the important thing here. And I think maybe that's the heart of the matter is like this life goes by and is meaningless and time is meaningless or doesn't go fast enough or goes too fast or the best parts of my life are already over. Who knows? But it's open-ended.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, I think it's a effective closer. I don't know in listening to these songs where the Manchesterian stuff is. Is that reflective? Is this mood reflective of the culture and streets? And
that is my understanding. You know, so I think Manchester in the 70s and 80s was really a depressed city.
Like New York City.
Well, yeah, I think a lot of like the industrial stuff that had carried it before had kind of moved out. So, you know, probably very similar to like Rust Belt, you know, in the United States. So I think there was a lot of that going on. But yeah, I mean, the album has a very gray feel.
Yes.
All right, well, let's rewind and reflect on Joy Division's Closer. I'll begin with my clickbait headline. Joy Division craft beautiful swan song in cold world. What I like about the album, I think, is that even though it has very cold sounds, even like the percussion and stuff is very precise and cold, you know, and the production is kind of stark. And maybe it's just Ian Curtis's voice or something, or maybe it's the bass, but there's something that still feels human about it.
Yeah.
You know, I connect with it.
It's a weird one.
Yeah.
So I'll throw out my clickbait headline to describe the album. Closer, or Closer, close of an era. Closer somehow sounds more like modern indie rock than most albums released today. Like, you could have told me this was something new and I would have believed you. It's kind of timeless sounding. It doesn't sound dated. I know they use some synthy sounds, but it's more that kind of like gothic-y synthy sounds that you still hear today. So it just, you know, feels like Unto Others or something could make some songs like this. And that I thought that was cool. Not what I was expecting.
Good. Killer to filler. Did you have any other favorites?
Well, I wouldn't say anything's really a favorite. They all kind of rely on each other. One that stuck out to me, and again, I'm not super familiar with New Order either, but Isolation, probably the most obvious bridge between those two worlds. Because there's some pulsing electronic beat that made my ears perk up. I'm like, what's that doing there? Ian Curtis delivers a very direct vocal performance, loneliness, emotional separation. Yeah. So that one gave me pause.
Yeah, I mean the lyrics to that are you know, really fantastic if you pay attention to them, which is true of really all their songs. You know, I think the lyrics are interesting enough that you could, you know, read them like poetry.
It doesn't matter. Like, they could be the best ever, and this, because they've got that one earworm. This is the way I step inside. That's all I can hear. That's all I can remember.
Another one that feels a bit more modern is Heart and Soul. It's got that kind of repetitive, there's like an electronic bass underneath. And then, you know, the bass guitar is added on later as a melodic instrument. You know, again, great lyrics on that one as well. Well, you know, I'm the wrong guy to ask about this this album because, you know, I've been listening to it forever and I love all the tracks. I mean, is there one that you thought was weak?
Well, I think Means to an End was the weakest. It just isn't as adventurous as some of the other tracks. I mean, it's still perfectly fine. Good rhythm section work. Lyrically deals with failed communication, emotional distance, you know, kind of recurring themes. So I think because it wasn't offering anything new, it just kind of fell off a little bit for me. Yeah,
I mean, that is one that I think tends to blend in the middle of the album. So yeah, that's probably a good call. Production. Well, as I mentioned before, you know, Martin Hannett produced both Joy Division albums and I think all their singles. And, you know, he was, you know, I don't know, just I think the darkness and the reverb and stuff, you know, which became sort of the signature Joy Division sound, that comes from him. And I think, in fact, members of the band didn't really like how the record sounded when they heard him. You know, I guess they just sounded a little different live and they didn't feel like they captured it. But in hindsight, they've realized how important, you know, his work was.
Maybe they didn't capture what they sounded like live. I think that was kind of the point. This was supposed to be evolution.
Yeah.
And I feel like if it was the producer that got them there, I mean, it's unfortunate that was the end. But yeah, so that leads me to a question, like how much credit belongs to Joy Division versus Martin Hannett here?
Yeah, that's
50-50?
That's a fair question. I mean, I guess it's almost like George Martin and the Beatles, you know, I mean, they needed each other.
Yeah, I mean, the instruments do appear isolated from each other. It kind of reinforces that theme of alienation too. So like some subtle nuance to the production that I think sometimes is overlooked.
Yeah. Stephen Morris, the drummer, he's been called the human drum machine before, which I'm not sure if that's a compliment or not. I mean, I think it's a compliment in that he's very precise.
Right.
But then, I mean, I think you could make a case that, it's too robotic or something.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if you listen to this album, you might mistakenly think that it's drum machine. But I think almost all the drums are real.
Cool.
Replay value.
I mean, it's on the lower side for me. I mean, again, this is another week where I recognize it's an important album. I'll probably listen to it again, which is more than I would have before. Because I guess I always just think of them as I just feel like it's British synth pop, which it really, this in particular is not.
No.
And I get them confused. I always forget which one is Joy Division and which one is New Order. So, the atmosphere is dark and immersive, so maybe Halloween time this will come back around.
Yeah. Well, this is one I've listened to many times in my life, and I will continue. Legacy.
Certainly a defining Manchester album and a post-punk transition type album, regardless of where it was made or where the people were from. But the foundation of gothic rock, there's dream pop, certainly modern indie music. The tragedy of Ian Curtis kind of dominates conversations, I think, but the music is extraordinary and it survives regardless of the surrounding things going on in the real world.
Yeah. All right. Joy Division's Closer turned Private Collapse into shared, echoing post-punk and captured the feel of Manchester, England.
Excuse me. I'd like to ask you a few questions.
It's time again for Deep Questions by Don. Well, just like we have for all the other cities on this tour, what other things from Manchester are there?
I don't know too much about Manchester. Obviously the soccer team. Everyone's heard of Manchester United, even if you don't follow the sport.
There's also Manchester City, or Man City. Mm-hmm. They're like the Mets, I think.
Why can't it be People City? But what I was reading is that the birthplace, now you kind of talked about this a little bit in terms of the downturn in Manchester, but it's the home to the world's first intercity passenger railway and sort of the birthplace of the Industrial Revolution. And so in 1830, they built the first intercity connection between Manchester and Liverpool. Ship Canal turned cities into major global trading hubs. So that's a big thing. They also were involved in the computer revolution. I guess the first stored program computer, the Manchester Baby, ran successfully in 1948.
Wow. Manchester Baby. I like that.
Yeah. So, yeah, Manchester may be the only city where you can make a case that it not only helped invent the modern world, so twice, first through Industrial Revolution and then through, post-punk, rave culture, indie rock, Britpop. So, yeah, some big stuff from a fairly small city.
Yeah. I didn't know a lot about Manchester other than from, what I've heard and the music that I've listened to.
Right.
But along those lines, there is a biopic of Ian Curtis called Control, which was directed by Anton Corbijn, released in 2007. It's really good. It's black and white. And so I do think a lot of my impression of Manchester, comes from that film. But I think it's a very well done film, and you kind of, you learn a little bit more about what was behind the music. And then another related film is 24 Hour Party People, released in 2002, starring Steve Coogan, the British comedian.
No.
You'd recognize him, I think.
Okay.
But it's about Tony Wilson, who's the founder of Factory Records, which was the tiny record label that featured Joy Division.
So like the sub pop of Manchester?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's that. But it's a comedy. It has Joy Division in it and the Happy Mondays and stuff. It's a pretty interesting movie, and it again, I think tries to tell the story of Manchester in the late 70s and early 80s.
Cool.
All right. Well, what do you know about Manchester? Let us know on our social media, like Instagram and Facebook, at Album Nerds.
So as I mentioned at the top, I struggled. So I had to go for a foundational piece. And Don wins again with The Smiths. Woo. So I tried to pick an album that was probably lower on his list. Strangeways, Here We Come, from September of 1987. It was produced by Johnny Marr, Morrissey, and Stephen Street. But the Smiths were formed in Manchester in 1982, quickly became one of the defining bands of British indie rock. The songwriting partnership of Morrissey and Johnny Marr combined sharp social observations, some dark humor, inventive guitar work, and it did stand apart from like the synth-heavy sounds of the time. Andy Rourke on bass and Mike Joyce on drums. They released quite a run in just 5 years of albums, only 4, correct?
Yeah.
Like studio albums, and then a whole bunch of singles that got put into compilations.
Yep.
Interesting strategy. So Strangeways Here We Come would become their final studio album, recorded during a period of tension in the group, mostly I think between Marr and Morrissey would be my guess. Mm-hmm. I assume it was mostly Morrissey.
Well, I think Marr is the one who really wanted to move on.
Well, yeah, the big personalities. The album showcased the Smiths at their most ambitious, kind of expanding beyond their signature jangly pop sound, a little richer arrangements, keyboard strings, broader musical palette. Maybe that's why I was drawn to this one a little bit more. I've been trying. This is an attempt to try to get into the Smiths.
I appreciate that.
The things I do for you. But it doesn't sound like a band on the verge of collapse. It feels confident, mature, forward-looking. So why don't we jump in and start with the opening track, A Rush and a Push and the Land is Ours. A rush and a push and the land is ours.
It's not how it goes.
Strain of the pain again. Rush and a push and the land that we stand.
One thing that I've learned listening to this album, to get used to Morrissey a little bit more. Mm-hmm. It's better than his solo albums to me because there's other personalities in the music. But I hate it when he does the thing. I can't stand it.
Yeah. And he rolls his R a little bit too, which I know you love.
If it's done for humor, I think it's great. If it's done to be a fancy lad, not so much. Anyway, a bold opening track, right? It completely abandons their sound. It starts off with this weird, what the hell is that? But it doesn't sound like a Smiths song off the jump, and I think that's cool.
It doesn't.
Johnny Marr, I guess, wanted to push beyond the formula, and the title of it is from Middlemarch, the classic 1871 novel by George Eliot. I'm sure we've all read. Mm-hmm. In the book, the phrase appears during a fox hunt and refers to a sudden surge forward toward opportunity and action. That's interesting.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on this one, man? You have a lot more to say about it than I do.
Yeah, it's it sort of indicates that this album's going to be a little bit different. It's not just Johnny Marr jangly guitar playing a lot of notes. It's more atmospheric. There's other instruments. So yeah, I do like the Morrissey's voice at the begining is kind of in the fog or something. And he's hello, I'm the ghost of Troubled Joe.
I kept turning it up. I'm like, I can't hear this, and then I was like, oh, okay.
I would. This is one of my favorite openers. I think. Yeah.
It was. I can just say it at the out. I enjoyed this album the more I listened to it, more so than the other ones I've tried in the past. I think I've always just skipped this one. I always try to do things in order, and I don't think I've made it all the way there.
Right.
Mm-hmm. All right. So why don't we get to another track, one that's I found quite interesting. The title, just the feel of it, Death of a Disco Dancer.
Death of a disco dancer. Well, I'd rather not get.
So is Johnny Marr like playing with the, at the top of the guitar, that's
what it sounds like.
Strings out there.
Yeah. I think I almost feel like he was rebelling against what people expected of him.
Yeah.
So he was just trying everything.
Very strange song.
Mm-hmm.
The title sounds almost comic, at first glance.
Yep.
Maybe referencing fading trends, changing social scenes. Some people hear it as a commentary on the AIDS crisis at the time and the public indifference toward the people most affected by it. or a broader attack on social apathy and empty idealism and fashionable political slogans and all the kind of stuff Morrissey loved to poop on.
Yeah.
But it's built around that hypnotic piano progression. The arrangement spans and contracts. It's cool. It's a cool song. And is this the only one to have Morrissey on piano? I read that. Is that true?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
But he's not doing much. I mean, he's just kind of banging on it. You know, he's not.
This is a very sonically interesting song.
Yeah.
And if he contributes something beyond his, dreamy pillow talk stuff, it's cool. I like it.
I mean, of any of the bands, that I listened to from back in the day, I mean, Johnny Marr is by far like the most virtuistic. What's the word?
Virtuostic?
Yeah, virtuostic guitarist. I mean, but despite that, there aren't a lot of Smith songs where they really kind of jam out and he kind of shows off. And this is one of them.
He's not Eddie Van Halen or anything.
Right.
Although
I think he has those kinds of skills.
Sure, I'm sure but that's not the way that he's ever musically presented.
Right. So it is fun when, they actually do have some longer instrumental sections. And this one, has that. And it gets very intense. Yeah, it's a great track. It's one of my favorite Smith songs.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Man, you had a great week. I was tortured. So, Don, I'm sure you have a favorite or one that you think we need to talk about. What is it?
Well, this could be, this is probably one of my top 5 Smith songs of all time, I think.
Today.
Yeah. Last night I dreamt that somebody loved me.
Last night I dreamt that somebody loved me.
All right, I'll say it. Morrissey, A-OK. He shines on this one.
Yeah.
This works.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he really nails this.
Sometimes he just sounds disingenuous to me. Here, he does not.
Yep.
I could be reading it wrong, too. But, like, my opinions on his vocal approach. But here, it's perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, this is him, at his best. The song actually starts out kind of weird, maybe almost 2 minutes of it or a minute and a half of it.
Yeah.
It's just some piano, kind of ominous piano, and then there's like, I don't know if it's crowd noise. Almost sounds like there's a fight or a riot, but it's like 3 streets over or something. You can kind of hear it in the background. So it just creates this ominous tone of the song. And then all of a sudden it hits right there. Last night I dreamt that somebody loved me. Just a real epic song. Just so well done. And his voice is perfect for it. And I love the line, the story is old, but it goes on, it's, quite a song.
No hope, no harm.
Yeah. Just another false alarm.
Yeah. I knew you'd know the rest. Yeah. And it's a compelling title and a compelling thing to dream about. And then it intimates a depth of sadness just through that phrase, and loneliness and stuff. Well done.
Yeah.
I read that both Morrissey and Johnny Marr agree on this. They've separately identified it as one of their favorite Smith songs.
Good.
I guess Marr called it perhaps the best thing the band ever did.
Huh.
Does that sound right to you?
Yeah, I mean, you could definitely make that case. It also has the big orchestration in it too.
Yeah.
It's just a big song.
Yes, it is. Frequently appears near the top of fan rankings and critics' lists. I guess Andre 3000 has publicly said that he wishes he had written it. Now, that's an odd thing. But I mean, the guy is a flautist and a rapper, so he's a deep dude.
I hope he does it someday. I'd like to.
All right, well, why don't we keep rolling and close it out with the closing track called I Won't Share You.
This is my time. I want the freedom and I want the guy.
It does feel like a goodbye to me. It's not bitter or angry or anything like that. It's sort of a story of tenderness and vulnerability. The delicate guitar textures are really nice. The production leaves a lot of room for Morrissey's vocal performance. It's kind of restrained, but it's clearly a love song. But to me, especially like that section I played where being on your own and Guile and all this stuff, it felt maybe like a farewell between creative partners too.
Maybe.
Not romantic partners necessarily.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of ends the album with like acceptance. Mm-hmm. And maybe I only think that because I know this is the end.
Right.
But what were your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I mean, it's a more modest, after talking about last night, I dreamt that somebody loved me. It's not that kind of epic.
Right. No.
It's more kind of passive feeling or something. But I like it. I think there's some mandolin in there at the end that Johnny Marr is playing. But I do think it's an effective ending to the album.
Yeah, it worked well. Well, why don't we take a little time to rewind and reflect on Strangeways. Here we come. I'll kick it off with me clickbait headline to describe the album.
Me clickbait headline.
Felt kind of appropriate. Manchester's most famous pessimists make an oddly optimistic musical leap before calling it quits. Often viewed as the most ambitious and musically expansive album. That's what I heard, being somewhat unfamiliar with the nuance of it all. Balances humor and heartbreak, cynicism, romance, social observation, all the stuff that they did, but with a little more colorful palette. A sunny day, perhaps, in Manchester. Despite being recorded during a period of growing tension within the band, it sounds creative and forward-looking. It doesn't sound fractured. It doesn't sound like falling apart, per se. It's less immediate than The Queen is Dead, but definitely repeated listens, the depth of it became clearer and clearer to me.
Hey, well, I'll give you my clickbait headline. Morrissey and Marr end things on different terms. So same idea. It's a departure for them. Although like to an outside ear,
right.
Not necessarily.
No, it's not that different.
Right. But it is, if you've been listening all along. So yeah, I like that about this album. I like that they continued to challenge themselves. And particularly, I would say Johnny Marr, challenged himself on this, and he didn't just want to be known as a guitarist. He wanted to create, soundscapes and whatever. So it's good.
Duh. Now, it's not your favorite, though, right?
No, my favorite would be the Queen is Dead, just because I think it's more the Smiths sound,
Gotcha.
And I feel like that was the peak of them, realizing that sound.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right, so back to the track list. Killer to filler. I mean, I think you love every song on this album probably, but what were some that stand out the most?
Stop me if you think you've heard this one before. I love that riff. It's just so big sounding.
Yeah.
If you're going to the Smiths for guitar, this is probably, one of the better guitar tracks.
Yes, I certainly enjoyed those moments. Girlfriend in a Coma. I know. At first, it was like kind of the most eye-rolly Morrissey moment for me, but it grew on me the more I listened. A perfect example of their ability to make something disturbing sound like catchy.
Yeah. The
bright arrangement, the uncomfortable subject matter. It's short. A lot of personality, but one of the clearest examples of Morrissey's ability to blend tragedy, comedy, and discomfort into a single song.
Yeah, these kind of the Smiths have a bunch of these, these kind of sillier, lighter songs that I think would draw somebody in, to these albums to experience the darker parts.
So from your perspective, superfan, what's the background? What's the meaning? What's the story here?
I don't actually know, and I think Morrissey's always been pretty ambiguous about.
How did she get in a coma?
And about whether it's meant to be, literally about a girlfriend in a coma, or if it's somehow a metaphor for something else.
Society, man. All right. Anything else that strong to you or weak?
Well, another strong one. I Paint a Vulgar Picture, which I don't think I appreciated as much when I was young. But it's basically the record industry. It's about this pop star, who I think is past his peak or her peak. It's all about repackaging the songs and reissuing them, and it's kind of told from the perspective of a fan.
Well, I mean, who knows? But perhaps all the non-traditional. Like they weren't releasing albums, they were doing all those singles and then the compilations. Maybe they didn't love that idea. Maybe he didn't love that idea. Maybe that put pressure on them, and that was part of this vulgar picture.
Probably not. And Morrissey was a huge fan of pop music, and so I think he idolized a lot of people. So I almost feel like this is a young Morrissey writing to, I don't know, David Johansen or something.
Yeah. I wonder how many sad kids or mad kids ever sang "Unhappy Birthday" to anyone that they didn't care for. That was an interesting track.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, you're not supposed to do that, but I like it.
Yeah,
it kind of keeps side 2 from becoming overwhelmingly heavy.
Mm-hmm.
I do think side A is a little stronger, but the weak one to me, "Death at One's Elbow." It doesn't stink or anything. Yeah. It's lighthearted and playful and less serious, but I think its placement right before "I Won't Share You" makes it feel slighter. Mm-hmm. Like maybe if another point in the album, I don't know.
Yeah. I guess what I like about it is it kind of has a rockabilly vibe to it.
Yeah, that's what I don't like about it.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. I'm like, leave that to the Stray Cats.
But yeah, in terms of like weight, I would say it's probably the least significant song on the album.
It's not a deal breaker or anything. Right. Not even close. Production. I think we've kind of gotten into it. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's brighter sounding, I think, than any of the other Smiths albums. It stands out sonically.
Had they worked with Stephen Street before?
I believe Stephen Street didn't get production credit on The Queen is Dead, but I don't know if he engineered. He was definitely involved in that, and he had definitely worked on some of the singles. But what I read was that Street was actually pushing them more towards doing the traditional Smith sound.
Oh, okay.
And Marr was like, no, we're doing other stuff.
Yeah, it's less reliant on guitar hooks and more focused on arrangement and atmosphere and texture. And I think that's interesting that both the albums that we ended up picking here from the streets of Manchester are these groups being pushed in different directions.
Yeah. Good point.
So that just stands to kind of show the industriousness of the music scene there with constant evolution, even when you've carved your own space. Mm-hmm. And both of these bands had, and they chose to push it. Yeah. I like that. Replay value.
Yeah. Well, I've replayed it a lot, and I will continue to.
So, high replay value for me. I recently acquired a bunch of CDs that Don was getting rid of, and it included the Smiths albums. So I've decided that I'm going to try and embrace that band. And this has kind of been a good exercise for me, where I finally had to listen to one over and over again, and I think I picked the right one for me to start with. Okay. So I'll be going back. Legacy. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think the Smiths are clearly an important band for pushing indie rock, and I think even the idea of having a vocalist that sounds kind of over the top, sensitive. I think Jeff Buckley was probably influenced by the Smiths.
You wish.
Well, he does. He even covers "I Know It's Over," I think, from The Queen is Dead. But yeah, I think this. Even though it's a slightly brighter album, it captures the essence of Manchester, and I think there's a dark, dry sense of humor. I think that comes out, and which I think is maybe unique to Manchester. Oh, probably also Britpop. I think the Oases.
There were more than one Oasis.
Oasis, Blur.
Maybe, yeah. I get you. All right, Strangeways, Here We Come is an ambitious, sophisticated farewell that captured the Smiths at the height of their creative powers while hinting at a new direction that would never be realized. And for me, the perfect starting point. Check it out.
Can you dig it? Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
All right. Well, on the way back on the tram, I think they called it the tram over there, like whatever commuter train there is in Britain. Sure. Anyway, have you been digging anything else?
Always. Although this time around, it's more stuff that sounds British. This one isn't. The Lemon Twigs. The album is Look For Your Mind. The Lemon Twigs are a New York-based rock duo made up of brothers Brian and Michael Daddario. They're known for their meticulous songwriting and love of the 60s and 70s pop. They blend power pop, psych rock, sunshine pop, classic rock influences, and Look For Your Mind is the band's 6th studio album, self-produced, but definitely sounds like their influences. The Beatles and the Byrds and things like that. Why don't we listen to a little bit of the title track, Look For Your Mind.
You definitely hear Klaatu.
Yeah. Certainly some Lennon McCartney vibes there for sure. But I mean, I've always enjoyed their music. It's not revolutionary, but they capture the feel and they're clearly passionate about it. So I always have fun listening to Lemon Twigs. So then I like to pick something I'm digging from my vinyl collection. I recently picked this up. It's a British artist, not from Manchester, but I was still feeling that. And I just got it not too long ago and got it cleaned up and have listened to it a few times. Billy Idol, his self-titled album from 1982. Billy Idol is a British rock vocalist who first rose to fame in the late 70s as part of the punk band Generation X before launching his solo career in the 80s. It's punk energy with mainstream rock roots. It's not punk rock by any stretch, but he looks like one. And his debut album had new wave sounds, hard rock sounds, had a couple of hits, Hot in the City, as well as this one, White Wedding.
Nice day for a white wedding.
Everyone knows that one, but that song's always fun to listen to.
Absolutely. Yeah, great song.
And good album, too.
Yeah, that Steve Stevens is pretty good.
Yes, he is. And they're still together. All right, Don, what are you digging?
In the kind of the new wave space, a band called Haircut 100.
That's an old name, right? I remember hearing that as a little kid.
Yeah, they were on MTV back in the
I thought
80s.
It was fake. I didn't think it was a real name.
But they are finally back. I don't think they've come out with an album since 1982.
Wow.
Yeah. It's called Boxing the Compass. Features the original frontman, Nick Hayward, Les Nems, Graham Jones, and Blair Cunningham. Here's a track called Dynamite.
Sounds like they picked up where they left off.
Yeah, they're kind of the sign of new wave I never really got into. A little more jazz influenced.
Horns and
some people call it Brit funk.
Okay.
So yeah, that's a good one. And then Midge who I think you've probably heard of. He was in a band called Ultravox. He was also in Thin Lizzy for a little bit.
Okay, Thin Lizzy, yes.
But he also he co-wrote "Do They Know It's Christmas" with Bob Geldof, and he was one of the main producers of that track. But he has a new double album. It's called A Man of Two Worlds. The first side is instrumentals. The second side is vocal songs.
I thought it was gonna be gangster rap.
Yeah. So here's here's a track from the word side. It's called Just Words.
All right, I get behind that a little bit more than the Haircut guys.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it has some of the synth pop elements, but definitely more atmospheric, I think, than his old stuff. So again, it's Midge A Man of Two Worlds. And what are you digging? Let us know. Join us on the socials, Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky at Album Nerds.
It will be a discovery of extraordinary value.
Here we are again. It's about time on the show, and I'm reminded of the words of Ian Brown, frontman of the Stone Roses. Manchester's got everything except a beach.
Except the beach. That's like Liverpool.
Yeah. You get slapped for that in Manchester, dude. With that in mind, let's bring out the Wheel of Musical Discovery to see what city we'll be visiting on the next one.
Next up in our Summer in the Cities series, we head to Nashville, Tennessee. From country legends and Americana to blues, rock, and beyond, we're exploring albums that showcase the songwriting, soul, and rich musical legacy of Music City.
Nashville.
Wow.
Yeehaw.
So pretty much any country album ever.
I think the artists have to have established themselves there as a part of the scene. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, looking forward to that. All right, well, what's your favorite record from Nashville? What else are you listening to? Email us at podcast@albumnerds.com or follow us on Instagram and other social media at Album Nerds. And you can visit albumnerds.com to listen to all 343 episodes. And the best way to support this show is to share it. Please subscribe, rate, and review on your favorite podcast app.
Thank you, as always. always, for joining us here on the program. You know where it's at, Nashville.
Podcast in a coma, I know.
I thought you were croony.
Yeah.
Podcast in a coma, no.
I know it's serious. Yeah.
Oh, your glory days are over.
Yep. We'll have to do a dude episode soon.
This is the way, step inside. Thanks again for listening. We'll catch you next time.